Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Talking GOP. My name is Gabriel Montalvo. I'm currently filling in for our regular host, George Santos, who is currently on the campaign trail, fighting Tom Suozzi in New York's 3rd Congressional District. We here at Talking GOP would like to wish you Godspeed and the best of luck. Here with me today, I have my co-host.
Hey everybody, I'm Lauren Whalen, Republican activist for over 11 years now and board member of the Whitestone Republican Club.
And we're very happy to have you here, and thank you for co-hosting with me.
Too.
Here with us today, we also have Tom and Karina Smich, founders of MAGA Queens, as well as Ariel Rivera-Diaz, the New York State RNHA chairman. So stay tuned for that, and let's get right into the show. So, Tom and Karina, welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having us.
How are you feeling?
Great.
Very exciting to be here with you guys.
That's wonderful. And I, for sure, love all of this gear that we have here, this Trump MAGA gear that we have here. It certainly livens up the place. So what can you tell me about MAGA Queens? What is the organization, really?
Go ahead.
Well, MAGA Queens is a grassroots American patriotic organization here that we started in Queens. The foundings of it are from out of what you would say a national pride and things like that that the president has brought back to our country after what's been happening for the last 8 or 12 years or so, especially going all the way back to 9/11, and to have people not be afraid to wear MAGA hats. You know, their First Amendment rights. People on the leftists that are getting out of control with their violence and everything like that. So what we try to do is project a message that there's freedom of speech, First Amendment rights, and Second Amendment rights, and all the rights of our Constitution. And we basically have rallies and stuff and protests, and we got books and we got literature and everything to.
That's wonderful.
You know, promote all these ideas.
Well, MAGA Queens was created a year ago, over a year. We believe in the movement, MAGA, Make America Great Again. It's nationwide. Thank you, President Trump. He brought this slogan again.
Right.
So we in Queens, we are conservative people.
Right.
So when Tom and we met over a year ago, we know it. Why Queens is voting blue Democrats.
Right.
So we have that vision to make people, conservative and Republicans, get aboard and change this for in Queens be red again. If it was before, I don't know. I am immigrant, so I live here only 20 years. But when I came to this country, what I admire more is law and order.
Right.
So for a couple years after, I see denigration in that kind of regard. It's no law and order anymore. Yesterday, illegals are getting license.
Right.
So MAGA Queens have a messenger. Is get together, unite the Republicans. You don't have to be Republican, but you have to support the president.
Right.
That's the messenger we have and the mission in MAGA Queens.
Right. And so you had mentioned that you hand out literature, and for those of you who don't know, well, the viewers at home, what is it that you guys do? Do you guys show up to protest? Do you counter-protest? What is it that you've done?
Well, first we did rallies. Our mission was make the first rally in Queens on September 1st, 2018. We did a rally to bring Republican candidates, and that time was running Vicky Palladino, David Bressel, Dan DeBono. All these Republican candidates was have the the mission to change the party to better. And we was new. We didn't get everybody aboard, but they started opening us the doors in the Republican clubs to promote President Trump's agenda, America First, what is pro-God, pro-life, pro-family, and all
Pro-Second Amendment and pro-America First
free
agenda.
Speech, when people don't get afraid to show the support for our great president. So,
and do you ever get targeted or attacked for wearing Trump gear, for MAGA gear?
honestly, no.
For actually wearing the gear, no. But for being present in certain areas, some people get a little bit upset. Some people you know, curse. They, you know, they make threats and everything. But what happened? We did get a couple of threats, telephone calls for the first rally when it was published that we were going to have a rally in Maspeth, Queens. We did get threats by certain organizations from the left side, threatening that if we did do that, that they would, you know,
They'd
kill
attempt-
us.
Oh, wow. But they're
So,
tolerant. They
which
say they're
gave
so
us all the
tolerant.
more
Right.
resolve
Not really.
to go forward with what we were doing. Because this is America and this is our country and there's free speech, First Amendment right.
Definitely. Definitely. And have you had any problems with Antifa before? I mean, you mentioned...
That's one of the
leftists.
groups.
That's one of the groups?
You know,
Yes.
and
One protest, the Antifas came and ripped out our signs.
Oh, that's a
They
shame.
did, especially these feminist women, because we are very pro-life supporters. Beside the political, we are support pro-life. So these feminists don't like that. So they came and ripped it off. And AOC town hall, these people support her.
Right.
We have kind of incidents, but not really. We didn't press charge
Right.
because the police didn't want them doing much
I mean,
because they
the police
feel
were right there when it
Really?
happened.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, she ran across the street.
Jeez. It's
Wasn't so much of a personal attack as what they said. It wasn't prosecutable.
Well,
you know.
that's a real shame. I mean,
Yes.
I myself had actually had a run-in with Antifa. I was at the Eastern Regional Conference in Philadelphia for Turning Point USA recently, and I had said I would mention it, so here I am. They were there was a protest marching past our hotel, and we ran to go see what it was about, and it was like there was these feminists, and they were wearing body painting all over them, saying that my body, my choice, women's
That's
right to
right.
abort, et cetera, and they had these little girls dancing, doing like a cheer to support abortion. And I said that's a little crazy.
It's a
It's out of the line.
very calculated ploy that they use.
Right, it's indoctrination.
Right.
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 And what I found there was, as soon as they found that we were a part of the Republican movement and we were at a Turning Point event, they said, "Oh, so you're here with mommy and daddy's credit card?" I'm like, "Sir, I work for a living. These clothes are because I bought them, you know?" And they had that misconception of us. And next thing you know, they put up a green tent behind us so that no one can see us, and then out of nowhere, 10 guys come up and circle us. And thankfully, and you know, you're a veteran, so thank you for your service, but you know, being in the Guard myself, in the Army National Guard, I was able to communicate kind of with a friend, a very good friend of mine that I made over there named Ryan Ketchum, and he's a Coast Guardsman veteran too. And we were like, all right, we have to get control of this situation because, you know, they attack you with bike locks, they attack you with chains, anything that they have at their disposal. And we were able to keep that positive control and eventually get out of there. So, you know, what you guys are doing, sticking up to these people in such an environment is wonderful and it's great. So thank you for what you guys are doing.
You're welcome.
Promoting the First Amendment is great. And you guys were recently at the Hershey rally for the president in
Yes.
Pennsylvania. How was
Hershey,
that?
Pennsylvania, with Donald Trump. Yes, we had gotten tickets, and from what I hear, a whole bunch of people got tickets from here in New York. And what ended up happening is that they, you know, they give out more tickets, I guess, whatever. But you have to stand online. It's first come, first serve. We were online for, say, roughly maybe close to 3 hours or so, and then we almost made it to the front, about 200 people or so in front of us, but then that was it, you know, it started snowing out and everything like that, so everybody kind of, you know, had a Jumbotron there, and everybody was like, okay, well, you know, it's snowing and everything like that, okay, well, you know, so we decided to go run back to the car after 3 hours in the cold, you know, go warm up the truck, and then we'll, you know, go back, but on the way back, we ran into, what's his name? Owen from InfoWars, who had that clip about the congressional hearing that he got arrested, thrown out. We ran into him and, you know, made friends with him, and he was like, yeah, you know. So in the meantime, these leftist Antifa socialists had shown up with impeachment signs, and they were yelling and screaming about, you know, impeach the president, Mike Pence, and so we got into a match with them. We have a clip of that we, you know, we have, you know, Facebook Live that she did. And eventually we kind of want to, not just us, so there was a few more other patriots there coming out, and we had a lot of fun with them, and you know, yelling back at them.
They
And
left.
they ended up leaving. You know, they couldn't take the cold. You know, with snowflakes they can't deal with.
Snowflakes can't
You
even
know,
handle those
especially under a
snowflakes.
little bit of pressure and everything. So.
Yeah, but a lot of Trump supporters, friends of us, were inside in the rally. A lot of friends of us. So that's why we was not really worried about, because everybody's take a video with their cell phones. So President Trump was really caring over there. A lot of Trump supporters all over the New York, Pennsylvania. were there.
And you guys were also at the AOC and Bernie rally.
Yes,
You were there
We
protesting.
organized.
Queens.
We
You organized
organized
We
the Bernie rally.
organized the protest, got the permits, make sure everything was good. Had no idea that there was going to be that many people showing up from the other side to
Right.
see Bernie Sanders. From
That
what
was
I'm hearing,
unreal.
they're saying 27,000 people and
Yes.
everything. But I'll tell you, the greatest part of it was, we had about maybe 40 or so, 45, 50 patriots showed up with us from all over the place that came out, and I would say we won out because we have some video of that that's on Breitbart.
Oh.
They did like a 17-minute clip, and you have one of the snowflake people yelling, "Why are you raining on our parade? Why don't you go home? You don't have nothing else better to do." But we were out there, and we made a point that no socialist is going to come to Queens, especially here.
Right.
In the city, we already have enough here, and someone from outside is going to promote the socialism that he's talking about. How could you even say it? The cost of things that they're planning and what they're putting forward as far as their future that they want to see. Who's going to pay for it? And that's why we have a sign that we made up, which is like what it says here: nothing is free. Okay, because you will pay with either your freedoms or money. And just don't believe them, because they're going to try to tell everybody anything they can
Right.
to try to get votes. But who's going to pay for it? I mean, really, look at Bernie. He's a millionaire. Just look at even Obama with the climate change stuff.
Right.
They're all lying. If there was climate change in 10 years and the world's going to end, why is he buying a coastal mansion right over in Cape Cod?
Right.
If he seriously believed that, he'd be up in the mountains somewhere, I
Right.
think. So
The world-
don't believe what you hear.
Right. The world's supposed to end since the 1960s.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I want to say you guys are like a dynamic duo.
Beautiful
And
dynamic duo,
right,
yeah.
they keep so busy, and you celebrated a wedding.
Yes.
Yeah.
When was that?
Well, we get married recently, September 14. And we have
Beautiful.
the honor to join with friends, MAGA people.
Yes.
Yeah,
We have, I want to tell you, our producer, Michael Ferrara,
Yes.
has
Yes,
a
Mike.
video clip, and we'd like to show you
Yeah.
a scene from your wedding.
Thank you, Lauren.
You're welcome.
There you go. Okay.
All right. That was fun. That was great. I really
Beautiful.
enjoyed it. Yeah.
You're a beautiful bride. We're so happy
thank
for you.
you.
And the handsome groomsmen.
And the groom is handsome
we had-
too, of course.
We had fun. It was very enjoyable.
Wonderful.
Very, very enjoyable.
And everybody was surprised because we keep it very quiet, and we did a MAGA wedding.
I know.
So you guys
loved
probably
it.
saw the video, and
Yes.
was we make a theme called "Make Marriage Great Again."
Make
Right.
marriage great
Make
again.
marriage great
Yes.
again.
We
Very
believe
nice.
in marriage. We believe in God. This is our values. This is how Christian people are.
Right.
And I didn't born in this country, but I brought my values here and adaptate with this American culture. What is the same? Everywhere, the Western civilization, we believe in God. We believe in marriage. We believe in family.
Right.
So this is the reason MAGA queens rise up, because the other side is preaching the opposite. Don't get married, don't get babies. It's more important to be successful in life.
Terrible.
But because
Yeah.
for what? Killing babies?
Yeah.
So this disappointment with the government, Cuomo and de Blasio, make us believe we the people, we had to fight back. We the people have to get together, fight for our children, fight for our
Fight for our
grandchildren,
American values.
fight
Right.
for the God wants.
Right.
Is unite and live in peace. People live in peace. Socialism is not allowed in this country. And President Trump say it, and I believe it, and we can't let that happen.
Right.
With all your help, with all Queens people vote red this time, you are sick and tired with the Democrats. They are taking our way of life. So now is the time. Support Republican candidates.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, look what's going to happen in January with the new, with the DA,
Right.
Melinda Katz,
Yeah.
and what they're proposing,
Oh, yeah.
you know, with no bail, and crime is just going to run rampant, as
More
it
than it
already
already is, right,
has,
exactly.
with that 13-year-old child
there was no
killing,
bail or
murdering
something,
in the
right, yeah.
streets.
Yes.
And thank you for being our voice, and
Yeah.
to go out there and,
We're out there every day.
yes.
Yeah, well,
We love it.
my husband is actually fed up because he's a military, he's an ex-military, and he don't want socialists take over his own
Right.
country.
Right.
And
he
I think
decided-
so that you've decided to run for Congress
Yes.
to be our
yes,
voice,
we've
because there's
decided we've
nobody
become-
speaking out
yeah.
for us.
We've become so fed up with
Right.
the recent events that are coming out,
Right.
especially with the Circus Act that's down in Washington with the impeachment stuff and
Right.
everything.
Exactly.
Which is putting a lot of people over the edge. But right here in Queens, what really put us over the edge is why I'm running is because our congresswoman that's here, who's been here 8 years or so like that,
And that's
was
Grace
having
Meng.
a town hall meeting. And in her hall meeting, she's handing out flyers how to help the illegals avoid ICE.
Yes.
So
Yes, I saw
explaining
that
to
on her
them what their
website.
rights are and everything. But see, they fail to realize a lot of the illegals that come here don't speak English. So any flyers or anything that she puts out is going to their handlers. And their handlers get this and explain it to them what they're supposed to do. But those people are all being exploited here. And we need to stop this. We need to build a wall, give all the support to the Border Patrol, change the immigration system. We are all for legal immigration. My grandparents were legal immigrants that came to Ellis Island in 1908, okay? My grandfather was served in the First World War. He was only here a couple of years, served in the First World War. My father served in the Second World War. My brother served in Vietnam. And I served in the Gulf War in 1991 with Norman Schwarzkopf and everything. And basically, we feel that, you know, the pride for this country, which Donald Trump has brought back, at least because we all thought, and a lot of people thought, they voted for Obama back in the day in 2008, thinking that he would do what he said he would about uniting, but he turned like a typical Democrat, lied to everyone, and had free reign over everything for 8 years, changing all kinds of laws and policy, giving money all over the world and everything. And now look what's even happening now with this Ukraine thing that happened,
Right.
and all this that they're accusing our president of.
So you're really wanting to run to stop socialism, to promote
Yes.
legal immigration.
Absolutely.
What other points do you have?
Well, a lot of the point has to do with the education of our youth.
Oh, okay.
Apparently now, with this free college and free everything that they're giving out, absolutely nothing is free, really. what's happened over the last couple of years is they've been indoctrinating our students in high schools, especially in the younger ages, and even down to even the K4. And what's happening with it, what they're telling them is they're entitled to all this stuff. They're entitled to get, you know, like they give out participation trophies. Back when I was younger, it was competition.
Right.
It was everything. You had to earn it. You had to study for it. Just like the SHAT. Now, because there are certain immigrant groups that are doing well and doing better, they're trying to diversify it. But you really can't diversify color, okay? You can't diversify a race. It's intelligence. Like Martin Luther King said, don't judge me by the color of my skin, judge me by the content of my character. And if there's certain groups of kids who study more and harder, well, maybe they need to revamp the education system from K through 8 before the high school stuff with the tests, with the specialized tests. Maybe that's what they have to do, and concentrate on that instead of taking the advantages of that away from these other people who are doing it.
Right. Is there anything else? Oh, you guys have mentioned a lot of clips that you guys have taken videos of. Where can our viewers find your videos and your Facebook group?
Well, we have, where's the?
We have a website, www.magaqueens.com. We are in social media with Facebook, MAGA Queens, Instagram, Twitter.
MAGA Queens all across.
MAGA Queens all across.
MAGAQueens.com, MAGAQueens.org, and on Facebook it's MAGA Queens, one word.
Wonderful. So we would both like to say thank you very much for coming on to our show. And for all of our viewers out there, I invite you to please stick around, because up next we will have Ariel Rivera-Diaz of the RNHA. He's the New York State Chairman, and here we're going to show you a brief clip of that. So, continuing with the show, I have a very special guest and a dear friend of mine. He is the New York State Chairman for the Republican National Hispanic Assembly, otherwise known as the RNHA, my friend Ariel Rivera-Diaz. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing well, thank you. How about you?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you doing, Lauren?
Very good. I'm excited to hear about your movement.
I'm excited to speak about it.
Wonderful. So tell me, for those who don't know, I mean, you and I both are part of the same organization, serving on the officer capacity. But for those at home or someone like Lauren who has yet to really hear about our exploits, what exactly is the RNHA? What is its mission?
Well, the New York State Republican National Hispanic Assembly is a grassroots organization. As mentioned before, I am the New York State Chairman. So our goal and our vision is to conduct outreach to Latino voters in the state and in the city. We work in all 5 boroughs, Long Island and in upstate New York. We also try to provide candidates, congressional, local candidates, with volunteers, any type of donations that they may need, and any type of consulting they may request from us.
Right, I see. And why is it that you are a Republican conservative? And Lauren, as you know, not too many people know the Republican Party to be such a diverse group of people. There's a lot of false media out there about who we are. So can you please elaborate on that?
Yeah, I was curious to say, who were you, who did you follow? Like, what turned you on to this movement to become a conservative Republican?
Yeah, I'm from the Bronx, one of the bluest counties in the city.
Right.
And what actually turned me on to be a Republican was the 2016 elections. I worked as a canvasser for a Democratic senator in my district, and I was realizing certain things wasn't really aligned with my personal views, my political views. So I started questioning a lot of things that the senator was saying, right? Why am I knocking on my doors, on these doors, I was asking myself. And yeah, the 2016 presidential elections really did open my eye to the Republican Party. I saw what Donald Trump was saying, that we need to secure our borders, we need to secure our future. And that's one of the main things.
So it was kind of Donald Trump inspired you?
I would say. I used to watch previously I used to watch Ben Shapiro on YouTube. So I was slowly but surely getting into that right wing
Yeah, the right-wing message, the conservative
Yeah.
message. And so what are the biggest positions for you that are the strongest? What are your talking points that you're really passionate about?
Definitely, I would say taxes and immigration, because taxes, as you may know, in the city is just destroying our communities. My dad, he's a TPS. How do I say this? He's a TPS. He receives TPS. He's part of the temporary protection status, and I see that he's paying extraordinary amount of taxes. We see these Democratic officials not doing anything for our immigrant community. So it's just one of those things that they promise to do, but they never do. They're like Donald Trump says, they're do-nothing Democrats.
Yes,
But
they
yeah.
want to tax us
Yeah,
and give it away to other people
especially that.
who don't pay taxes and all these groups,
Yeah.
you know, are taking the money.
So my question is, you mentioned illegal immigration. Now, how do you feel about, how do I word this better? How do you feel about illegal immigrants receiving more benefits than, let's say, veterans or other people in this country who have fallen on hard times, and they're not receiving nearly as much attention nor help as people who have broken the law, whether it be for good or bad reasons, that they come here illegally? What are your thoughts on that?
It's one of the monstrous things that the Democratic Party does. It should not be accepted here in the nation, because we have people who are sacrificing their time, their life, and their family to serve the nation and to actually pay taxes the right way, right? Work the right way and do everything legally. However, we have Democratic officials that are calling for Medicare for all for illegal immigrants. As you all may have seen, they raise their hands who would give illegal immigrants Medicare.
Right.
Right. And it's just one of those things that's just opened my eyes even more towards
Well, look what just happened this week with the driver's license.
Oh,
yeah, it's
That means what next? They're going to be able to vote.
Yeah, well, it's not like we find that there's the strictest of voting laws here in New York City. It's almost like they want to abolish identification for voters, and now it seems like anyone can just walk into a polling site with very little
Yeah.
questions asked, and that's a very scary thought.
Yeah.
I mean, we found many times that voters have come up for the dead to vote for Democrats, and illegal immigrants too, or people that don't even exist. So it's just on their ploy, and it's a very sad time, I believe. But I think that if we all stick together and stay true to our guns and the conservative message and really promote that, that's what we're doing here, I think that we might have a fighting chance. But with that being said, I remember you had told me a story, and this goes into taxes and higher taxes. It's almost like we're living in a socialist government. What is it? I remember you've done some humanitarian effort. If you can elaborate on your story.
Yeah, I actually went to Nicaragua, Matagalpa, for a volunteer project to rebuild a mental health facility for young children. During my stay there, I was able to interact with the community, interact with the locals. They actually took us to a dump one day. At first, it just looked like a regular old dump, just like people working there and all that stuff. But then I saw children just running around, looking like dumpster diving and all that stuff. And in my head, I'm like, well, why are they doing that? So out of curiosity, I started asking the parents, like, why are they here? Are they workers? Or it's just questions that obviously come to mind when you see a child in a dump. And they said, no, we live here. And that shocked me, because Nicaragua, as you guys may know, it's a socialist country. History, it's just pure socialism. So we brought a little mobile school for the children, right? So we could interact with them, teach them how to count, teach them their ABCs, certain words that they should know. And there was a small child, right? I thought he was 6 years old. He was actually like 8, 9-ish, but he was stunted because of the malnutrition that Nicaraguans face on a daily basis.
Right.
And I saw that he was chewing on a bottle cap that he picked off from the dump. And I asked him, why are you chewing on a bottle cap? aren't you afraid of getting sick or anything of some sort? And he was like, no, it makes me forget about the hunger.
How sad.
So when we see Democrat
Right.
leaders trying to
Promoting this.
push socialism, it just makes me remember that child that was chewing on a bottle cap because he was so hungry. He wanted to forget his suffering. And it hit home because I'm Honduran, I'm Central American, right? Nicaragua's our next door neighbor. We're going through the same exact thing. We're heading in the same direction, right? We have leaders that don't care about the people, who only care about themselves, right? If you see the Democrats today that are pushing for socialism, they own 4 houses, right? They own boats, they own
Live in gated
there
communities
we
in
go.
the top 1 percentile or top 10 percentile.
Yeah, they're the ones that are pushing these agendas, and it's disgusting.
I agree.
It shouldn't be accepted in the United States. It just leaves me speechless at times because I went to this trip when I was 15, 16 years old in high school.
Right.
And for me to see that, when I got back on my bus, everyone else was crying, but in my head, I'm like, how can we fix this? How can we stop this from happening in our nation, right?
Right. So, with that being said, you saw firsthand what socialists can do to a country, which a lot, like these college students, these privileged, entitled college students that push for this sort of thing, they don't get to see how the other half lives. They believe that the grass is in fact greener on the other side, but we see the reality that it's not at all. So, how is it that as a Hispanic conservative, how are other people's perception of you from the Democrats? How do they perceive you? What do they call you?
They perceive me as a traitor and a Nazi.
Ah.
2 common words that have been used against me. Also a racist because they think when I state my stance on illegal immigration, they're like, so you don't want us here? Like, you don't want Latinos in the United States? And I'm like, no, that's not the case, right? There are laws that need to be followed. There are laws that need to be respected. But mostly traitor and Nazi are 2 of the main ones that surprise me. Like, what have I done in action, right, that have proven me as a traitor?
Right. And going off of what you said, I've been called a Nazi and a white supremacist too, and they've taken away my Latino or Hispanic card because, again, when on the topic of immigration, I would say I don't support illegal immigration. And this girl who's Hispanic, she says, oh, well, you know, they're not just crossing from the southern borders, not just Hispanics who are coming here illegally. And I said, it has nothing to do with Hispanics. I said, I'm against illegal immigration. You made that about race, not me. And they harbor that. And then I find that those self-entitled leftists, those liberals that try to call us out with those isms, I find that they're sometimes the most racist out of the people you'll find. They'll say a new slang term called a coconut. So you're brown on the outside, white on the inside. And and I had this, I guess she was a professor of some sort, or she was a friend of a friend on Facebook. And I had spoken out against socialism, and I said that Donald Trump is trying to help the inner cities. And we had a little bit of a discourse, and the friend said, don't worry, this guy, he's just trying to release himself from his race. He's trying to become more white. He's trying to accept more whiteness. That's what Hispanics try and do. And I said, does she realize that I sit as a part of an organization that you and I are both a part of that promotes Hispanic excellence? And people might claim identity politics, but as I said in a recent speech I gave for the Walkaway movement, it's not identity politics where we're forcing people, we're pigeonholing them based on their race and say you can't because you're a minority. We're saying you can and you will because you're an American. And I think that's the very big difference between how we introduce the concept of race in unity rather than division. So what else can you tell me about the RNHA? What are some future projects for New York State?
Well, future projects we're going to have, as you may know, we have an event on January that we're still planning. It's still in the works, but it's going to be a launch event that's going to happen in January. That's where we announce the RNHA, New Year, New Beginnings for the Republican Party. Our vision is to start a Republican Renaissance in New York City, New York State. because what we need is a Republican awakening. Another thing that's also in the works is hosting workshops for people who are interested in politics, right? Because it's one thing that I've noticed in New York City is that a lot of people want to get involved, but they don't know how to, or they think they don't know enough
I
to
just
get
want to
involved.
say, in your age group, you're young.
Yeah.
Do you come across people who support you? Is this movement building?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
are there other young people as yourself
Yeah, for sure.
that
In the
are
Bronx,
really interested?
in the Bronx, where I'm from, I'm actually surprised by the reception that I got when I introduced myself as the
Wow.
Republican National Hispanic Assembly New York State Chairman. And it actually surprises me.
exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Uh-huh.
It motivates me because there's a lot of young people, especially in my age group. I'm 21 years old.
Right.
That are looking for more options, right? They want to ensure their future. They're working for the future.
So they're not all brainwashed
Yeah.
by the media.
Yeah. Nope.
Right.
They're always fact checking everything.
great.
Everything. When they see an article, I've seen this in action before in my workplace. They see an article and they're like, all right, let's see what Fox News is saying. Let's see what CNN is saying. Let's see what this small little blog post is saying, right? So they're not really stuck onto one media source, right?
That's great.
They like to expand
To
their
branch out,
knowledge,
right.
right? They like to branch out. And that's one thing about my generation is that we're not easily fooled.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, that's one thing that I've seen, the reception I've gotten from being chairman.
Happy for you. That's awesome.
Yes, and I think it's important that we, as an organization, have the ability to do that outreach that you mentioned before. I think that Hispanics are now going to be the largest minority voting bloc in the next upcoming election, and that means that organizations like ours have to do more outreach. And I think that it's important that we have different chair people in different positions of the Republican Party, all the way from local to the RNC, that they see the importance and the value of something like this. And that's the way that we can continue to win, because I believe that Republicans focus primarily on the executive branch. You know, they focus on the office of the president, and then, as we saw in the 2018, it wasn't a blue wave. I'd say it was a little bit of a blue splash, but it's still we still lost a couple of seats here in New York, and you know, some people were caught off guard. And I believe that not only through outreach that we can do, we can also promote the idea of it's not just every 4 years when the president's up to bat. It's every time that you have a chance to vote, we should be letting people know what's happening in our city. Yes.
Yeah.
So, what has the RNHA done in regards of endorsements?
In regards to endorsements, we endorsed a few candidates in this past election in Long Island. The local elections, we've endorsed Don Cleveland for town supervisor, which he greatly won. We were excited for that, and we've also endorsed multiple candidates. Again, like I said, in Long Island, in the Bronx, in Queens. In Queens, I think we endorsed one of the judges that were running. I forgot his name, but yeah. We try to endorse. We try to provide a lot of people, like a few people here and there, anyone that's available.
That's great. Do they volunteer for the candidates? You know, they're going to need, coming up elections, people going door to door, petitioning.
Oh yes,
I
actually funny that you mentioned that. In representing the RNHA, I was actually with the New York Young Republican Club. We did a deployment out to Jersey with Mike Gasali. He's running out there for Congress in Jersey, so best of luck to you. But we did door knocking, so you know, it was a kind of like a last minute thing. But I said, you know, I have a Saturday free.
But that's a great way to reach the voters, and
for sure.
if they speak Spanish,
oh yes,
to our Spanish Republicans, that's a great door opener.
Yeah, it's a way for them to feel like they have a voice.
Yeah.
And we were able to provide that voice. And let me tell you something. You don't know how many people were happy when I wished them a Merry Christmas with those door knockers.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it really put some nice cheer. And I believe that, you know, as we've mentioned before, that Hispanics really are conservative. We're anti-abortion. so we're very pro-life. We like the government out of our business, you know, in all the sense that it is. Lower taxes, as you said, and a lot of personal liberty. But it's odd to me. We have someone like Gloria Alvarez. She's a huge libertarian, especially within Central America and South America. I had the pleasure of meeting her, actually. And one of her best quotes that she had said was, don't come to the United States and vote for the exact same thing that you left. Don't vote for the reasons that you left for. And it's a scary thing where we have, I guess, our community feeling that they need to rely on this government, on Big Brother, when we should take to heart and remember what it is that we escaped from. I mean, there was no opportunity for my grandparents in Ecuador, and they didn't necessarily run a huge socialist state, but they still had a lot of socialist policy within their government, and it went bankrupt. Ecuador went bankrupt, and they had to abandon their currency and actually rely on the U.S. dollar. The sucre was like it was like a fraction of a penny, even. It was horrible. But, you know, they came here, they didn't receive that government help, and they picked themselves up by their bootstraps. And, you know, you mentioned the Bronx. When my grandfather came here, he actually had gone to the Bronx, and his apartment complex had burned down, and he was only left with the jacket on his back, literally. You know, so we have these stories, and we have, you know, we're always told that Hispanics have great work ethic. So why do you think it is that we feel like the Hispanic community feels like they have to rely on that, on Big Brother?
Well, because one, we're always focused on work, right? And Latinos, we tend to be a little bit laid back at times, and I've seen that a few times in my community. But Latinos, what they need is a reminder, right, of where they come from, right? What policies they were running from, and it's all about education. I'm big believer that education is what's going to influence the upcoming elections. Why? Because Latinos, if you start telling them, right, the Democrats haven't done anything for you. The Democrats are doing this, and that. Their policies and taxes are hurting you, and they're helping other people that is not working as hard as you, right? So when we start telling them that, they're like, whoa. First, I didn't know that was happening, right? I remember speaking to a woman that was around 30 years old. She was working full time, 9 to 5. I knocked on the door at 7. It was during my campaign in 2018 when I ran for New York State Assembly in the 86th district in the Bronx. I knocked on her door, and she looked tired. Right? She just got home from work, and she's like, "What do you want?" Right? As Latinos, we're very conservative. We don't like it when people knock on our doors after 5. So she's asking questions as where I'm coming from, why am I knocking on her door, where I got information from. And I tell her, look, I just want to tell you something real quick. I'm running for New York State Assembly, right? And I believe the Latinos are being exploited by the Democratic Party, right? And then she's like, "Whoa, really? That's a big thing to say, especially here in the Bronx." So we got into a conversation, and I saw her on a poll site when I was walking around giving out palm cards. I saw her go in the neighborhood. She was like, "I voted for you. Right? You opened my eyes, right? And I just want to thank you for doing so."
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
And that just filled me with so much happiness. I was so proud because Latinos were really hard to work with. But if you keep pushing, keep being persistent,
keep knocking at that door.
Keep knocking at that door.
I was wondering how the Spanish media, you know, the local Spanish stations, are they the same as our mainstream media?
I'd say so.
Yeah, definitely. There we go. Univision, Telemundo,
Right,
especially Univision.
Telemundo.
And you have even CNN Espanol.
Yeah, that too.
Okay.
We have people like Jorge Ramos, right? This is like spewing just fake news about our president,
also.
right? Failing to report on the cages that Obama was running before Donald Trump, right? And he was like, "Oh, Donald Trump did this. Right? Look at me. I'm crying for these immigrants, right? What are you actually doing, right?"
It's a real shame of all the misinformation, but
Yeah.
organizations like ourselves will be the
Yeah,
first to
for
come
sure.
out there and protest against them and show them the
Yes.
truth.
And
But,
shows like this.
Yeah.
And shows like this,
actually.
right? So Ariel, if you can please let us know where we can get more information, the viewers can get more information about the RNHA.
Yeah, we're on Facebook. We have around 5,000 followers on Facebook. You can find us at New York State RNHA on Facebook. You can also just send us an email at nyrnha@gmail.com. We like to interact with our followers.
Wonderful. And folks, that's all the time we have today. I'd like to thank all of you for staying with us. Again, my name is Gabriel Montalvo, hosting today for George Anthony DeVolder Santos. And here I have my co-host.
Lauren Whalen.
Thank you very much, and you guys have a good day.
Lauren, Gabriel, thank you so much for taking the floor without me today. Appreciate you, Lauren, for filling in. Gabriel, best of luck with everything there. I hope everything's going fine. I just wanted to take a little quick minute here out of my very busy schedule. As you know, I'm running for Congress in New York's 3rd Congressional District. I was very excited to see that candidate Tom Zmich for Congress in New York's 6th Congressional District was going to be with you guys, as well as the chairman for the New York State chapter of the RNHA, Ariel. Greetings to all of you, and I'm sorry for not making it. As you know, it's been a very busy time with all of our congressional races. I've been making some very interesting stops and meeting some very interesting people along the way, given that my district spans from Northeast Queens, where I reside, all the way into Huntington Station. So it really covers a very large portion of land here in New York. So it makes it quite challenging sometimes to meet everybody, but nonetheless, we're out there. So this past week and today, when you guys were recording, unfortunately, I had prior commitments, which didn't allow me to make it into the studio. But just wanted to make sure everybody understood, we're fighting the good fight. We're out there, we're knocking on doors, we're meeting with civic associations, we're meeting with Republican groups. Hey, we're even meeting with Democrat groups to make sure that everybody understands our message. I'm propelling a message of unity, a message of unification of Americans that goes beyond party lines. I want to bring people together and remind them that we're all out for the same goal. We're out to go out and help everybody's livelihoods be better. We're not here sitting around just trying to make ends meet for ourselves. I'm the candidate that's out there working hard to make sure I get that nomination come next year, to make sure I win that election in November with the president on the same ticket, to make sure that I will be able to represent my constituents honestly, honorably in Washington, D.C. I want to bring back representation for our people of the New York's 3rd Congressional District. I want to bring back common sense to the district. It's been a very, very interesting ride so far. A couple of weeks ago, I was actually speaking at a club in the Suffolk portion of the district called the Ronald Reagan Club. It was a very good crowd, and these folks were very, very interested in hearing what I had to say, granted that none of them have ever seen or met Congressman Suozzi in person. It surprises me that the more I meet people, the more they say they don't know who Congressman Suozzi is, or they never met him, never seen him. Congressman Suozzi comes from probably the most long-standing dynasty of political families in Long Island in New York. He has served as the mayor of Glen Clove. He has served as county executive, and his report card is nothing honorable. I'm working double time to make sure that he is exposed and that his intentions are brought to a light. As you guys saw, he tried to put into the Senate a bill raising the salt tax deductions. Something I'm very passionate about because it affected me personally and a lot of my friends and family. And it affected the district greatly, which it launched us to be the second highest tax district in the country. However, Congressman Suozzi's bill isn't as good as it seems. It is only raising the threshold for married individuals that are homeowners, not single homeowners. On top of that, it only taxes the wealthy, people earning after a certain tax bracket. People below that will not be taxed and will have their deduction raised. People above certain tax brackets will not have their deductions raised. They'll stay at $10,000, but they will be taxed higher. And that's not to say that that's going to implicate on funding for schools within the district, granted that there is about 80 schools in the district that use public funding. Congressman Suozzi needs and has to put out fair legislation that can be backed up by every single member of Congress across the aisles. There's a very strong reason why Congressman Lee Zeldin has denied to partake in this bill. I early on praised Congressman Suozzi for putting out an effort. However, I urged him to bring Congressman Lee Zeldin into the legislation to better it and to improve it, as Congressman Lee Zeldin has been able to put forward a very, very comprehensive bill that would relieve the people of New York's third and every other high-taxed state that is under Democratic leadership. Think about it this way. If Democrats govern your state and your taxes are high, and us Republicans are telling you, look at other states that are governed by Republicans and how their taxes are lower, why would you insist on voting Democratic? Democrats are the party of very expensive ideas that yield very little results. I'm not going to sit here and watch anymore. That's why I'm out there and I'm working very hard to make sure I'm able to represent you, the people of this country, honestly. On a lighter note, I'd like to say that the whole impeachment process has been a very interesting one at best. If you were all paying attention to the TV late last year while the impeachment hearings were going on, it was very distracting to what was actually going on behind closed doors. There is a bill called the Omnibus Bill that has a tag price of $1.7 trillion on it. The Omnibus Spending Bill is probably the most insulting piece of legislation ever cooked up in the chambers of Congress. It is 23,000 pages long. No one living person has actually read it prior to it going to the Senate. And it is now being voted on by the Senate to pass. This is a deal cut by obsolete leadership in the Senate, in Congress. That's why I urge us all to not be distracted by this farce of an impeachment and to actually look into what's going on. I thank you all very much. Lauren, Gabriel, thank you very much for the time once again. Tom and Karina, Ariel, thank you very much for coming. Maybe we'll be together soon at another show, but for now, that's it. I have to run. See you next time.